you. So thank you for clicking this vlog. You did the right decision of clicking this vlog because this is a very special vlog edition since this is a book review. This is my major content. So I'm Arnel Madraso, they call me the teacher vlogger. So I would like to personally welcome you to my channel. So before we proceed with the book review, please, I'd like to remind you of the things that you should do before we proceed to the book review. First, please, when you view the video from the beginning, I'd like you to start from the beginning and please also end the video so that you will appreciate the rich knowledge that I will be sharing to you about this book. Second, if you like the video, please like. Do not hesitate to like, write your comments, and as well, please subscribe. So most of my contents I'm doing, even lectures, research writing, basic English writing skills, I'm doing this for free. So at least the love that we can get from you is the subscription. So please do subscribe, the red button here. So click it and then please offer your comments, so your suggestions as well. Alright, so for this special blog, I prepared 7 main points. So we will start with vlog note number 1. Doing book reviews, it's essential for us to check the author's background or credentials. So I usually check the author's background and credentials to ensure that the materials, the sources that we're reading from this book is authentic, is valid, and credible. So let's start with the primary author. So the primary author is Dr. I. William Lane, who has a PhD in agricultural biochemistry and nutrition. And the secondary author is Susan Baxter, who is a regular writer or medical writer in the Psychology Today and Health Watch. And these credentials were strengthened with the foreword written by Dr. Ghoneum, who is the chief chief of research of Drew University of Medicine and Science. Next is the writing style of the authors. So basically, the style of writing is looking into the fusion of science and philosophy, because I think it was really intentional on the part of the authors to try to make the writing style more conversational that can reach the readership, meaning the readers, for example, who are not into science. So their readers, the very inattentive readers, would be those who are not really into biology or chemistry, right? So they cannot rely on technical terms alone. So they need to think of a creative way of fusing science and philosophy or logic and arts. So as evidence to this account, if you'll open the book, the chapter, each chapter of the book would have an introductory quotation written by philosophers relevant to medicine, sickness, and diseases or virus, right? So that's what I observed in the writing style. As I said, it's more of a conversational way of trying to simplify the difficult technical terms in science. So the terms, the examples, the metaphors, or the analogy they would use are very simple terms, no? Simple terms. So later, you will know some of the examples that they used in order that they will try to make the scientific book creative, because I think they are really trying to prevent one thing, that they will sound like a textbook. And I think you know already the feeling of reading a textbook. If it's a textbook, it's really boring, right? This is the patterns of development. So this is an extended essay that is considered to be an expository text that would include, of course, as a science text, there will always be definition, right? Classification, division, comparison and contrast. But you see, with the combination of philosophy and science, logic and arts, they also included narration. Description is also included as part of the patterns. So some of the cases were narrated in a way that an ordinary, inattentive, non-scientific person would be able to comprehend and would be able to continue reading page by page. Now, the authors defined immune system in a very common, ordinary way so that the readers would understand. The immune system is compared, the analogy I mean. So the analogy used was an immune system is comparable to an army. So an army that would protect and defend against the foreign bodies or virus, the invading virus, right? So that's the analogy. And so the authors actually pointed out that given that the immune system is an army that would protect, defend, and defeat or kill the enemies, but there's a challenge. Why? Because all living creatures, whether amoeba, human, or horse, are built from the same building blocks, right? All living creatures, whether amoeba, human, or horse, are built with the same building blocks. So sometimes, that is where the difficulty would lie. Because the enemies, like the viruses, are also composed of building blocks, the same building blocks that we have, right? So they simplified the presentation of cells by classifying the cells into 3 major types. But under each major types would include extensive concepts and names of the cells. But I wouldn't want to delve in deeper on the concepts. Otherwise, this will become like a textbook. So let me just give you the 3 major cells that would compose a strong immune system. So the first one is the T cells. The T cells, their way of putting an analogy would be the T cells are the sharpshooters, the elite force in the army. So these T cells are trained in a location known as thymus gland. So the thymus gland is found behind the breast's bone. So that is where the cells, the T cells, are trained, and their skills are honed to defend the body against the viruses. Right? So that's the first one, and then the second is the B cells, otherwise known as the antibodies or antibodies. And then the third one is NK cells. That's a third. So later, I will be giving you an example of what are some of these NK cells that the authors presented in the book. So according to the authors, viral infections have 4 kinds of effects. So inapparent, no reaction. When these infections or virus would come in or enter the body, there will be no reaction. So in the current term nowadays, this is asymptomatic, right? So inapparent is that there's no reaction to the body. The second one is cytophatic. Cytophatic wherein the cell dies. So the cell dies and the body would continue to be healing. The second one is hyperplastic. So hyperplastic is the cell divides before dying. So the cell divides before dying and that the immune system reacts. Or the immune system reacts. So an example would be the reaction can be cough, colds, and fever. So if you're having cough, colds, and fever, that means to say that viral infection could be hyperplastic in terms of the effect in the human's body. Next is the last one. The fourth one is cell transformation. So what is cell transformation? The cell divides and results in abnormal growth and becomes cancerous. So this is dangerous. So this viral infection that will result in abnormal growth is in fact cancer, right? The authors made a very controversial claim in blog note number 6. Viruses, according to them, only live in body cells. And I think you also heard about this already. Maybe you're viewing the news or reading some links over the internet. I think you already heard that viruses only live in body cells. That's why we really have to keep social distancing, right? Because it lives in our bodies. And so we really have to ensure that we will not have contact with the person having the virus. Now, listen to this. This is a very controversial point. Creating a drug that will only kill the virus without affecting the host body is virtually impossible. Right? Hence, the only solution for virus is vaccine, not drugs or medicines. See, this was published in 1999. That virus can be contained with vaccine. So only vaccine can really ensure that the prevention of immunity from the virus or from the disease. So what about the claims that there are medicines that can help? Perhaps in certain cases or anecdotal cases where it was proven that somehow the medicines can help, but not necessarily totally the only factor that can prove that it is in fact a medicine that really cures. Maybe there are also other factors like strong immune system. Or what about the age of the person, right? So it's not the medicine, but it's still because of the immune system. So if you have weak immune system, then there is high probability that the person will die. So this was published in 1999, right? So still the same point that some scientists would assert that in fact only vaccine can really ensure prevention from having this COVID-19. And in fact, if you will observe the pronouncement of the president, so he will only allow the classes to be open if there is vaccine. Because I think you already read somewhere, right, that in fact only vaccine can help COVID-19 be extinguished from the face of the earth, right? So vaccine is the solution, not the drugs. So what's the point? Why are drugs not the solution? Because the aim of the medicine is to kill the virus, right? If you will be killing the virus, there will be side effects to the body. So the virus now is part of the body. If you will be taking in a medicine, there will be side effects. Now, if you have weak immune system, if you have heart cases, now if you have problems with your heart or high blood pressure, if you're hypertensive, then that can affect if you will be taking medicine. So I think that's the point. So if you'll be taking medicine, there will be reaction to the body also. So if your heart is weak, if your body organs are weak, especially for cancer patients, so low immune system, especially for the old people, then there is high probability that they won't be able to make it. So the author discussed accounts of cases in the past where there were epidemic also. So it started with the ancient accounts in year 350 BC. And then there's also the epidemic that happened in Europe, in London. And there were so many diseases mentioned, even lupus, even arthritis and all. But what was really always highlighted was HIV/AIDS cancer. So the discussions would include cases of cancer patients. And so, their way of presentation would be, they will be presenting the cases, the sickness, the viruses, and then what's the solution? So their solution is MGN-3. So this MGN-3 was already mentioned in the foreword by the chief of research. In fact, they were really asserting that MGN-3 can cure cancer. And the thesis maintains in the following chapters. When there's cases, then there's also mentions of MGN-3 as being used as part of the therapy. And then I continue reading. When you read the conclusion in page 159, still the same thesis statement that in fact MGN-3 increases the natural killer cells in the body that can help kill cancerous cells. Right? Now, here's the point. Here's the question. So, is it possible that the authors were funded or supported by a big pharmaceutical company? Right? So, is it possible that they were funded? Because for this book to be really comprehensive, they have to include other remedies, right? Other remedies, no? But then they were focusing on MGN-3. What is MGN-3? I think that's also your question. MGN-3 is a brown rice. It's a brown rice that was converted into white rice following a milling process. A very strict milling process, then combined with shiitake mushroom. That shiitake mushroom was combined with the rice bran, and that rice bran is now known as BioBran. And so, what I did was I did my own research also. So, this was published in 1999, right? So, what is now the status of this research findings? So, were there continuity in terms of research that was conducted in order to really maintain that in fact MGN-3 can help cure cancer? And so here's my research about, so I'm going to post it here. So what are some of this research that can help? Okay, so in 2018, they ruled out in 2018 that MGN-3 or the BioBran can help in a way that it's complementary therapy. So it's a food supplement, right? So rice bran is a food supplement, and that this food supplement can help with the other medicines that the doctors are prescribing. So food supplement is not really conclusive that it alone can cure, right? So that's the 2018. Then in 2010 in Vietnam, there's case studies of liver cancer. So the liver cancer patients, somehow had improved in terms of their immune system. So there's improvement, but not really that conclusive that only MGN-3 or BioBran is the only medicine being used. There are also other factors, right? Other medicines that are being taken by the patients. In 2016, when tested in rats, BioBran kills cancer cells in rats, right? So now, is it conclusive that in fact it can increase cells, increase natural killer cells that can kill bad cells, as in cancerous cells? Here in 1999, in 1999, this was published in 1999. Yes, it was for them. Their tone is like it really can kill cancer cells, right? But in my readings, this is the updated research. I checked the updated research, and I'm going to give you the links in the description below, and as well some pictures here. So you would see that in fact in 2018, what the scientists said, it's complementary therapy. It helps, but not the only cure. It helps. That's why it's food supplement. Now here's the point. So what's the point now? So here's my question. So the first question is, what about the other food supplement? Right? What about the other food supplement? So why did they not mention also the other food supplement? Why is it from the foreword down to the conclusion they were only pushing for MGN-3, the rice brand? So for a Filipino, I think if you're a Filipino watching this vlog, I don't think you are still not knowledgeable about food supplements. So if you were a Filipino, it is clear to us, that there are so many food supplements that already came to us, and until now are still existing. Some of them are having cases in court, no? But there are food supplements that are really helpful, right? So the recent ones in terms of immune system, I think you already heard about transfer factor. It's a colostrum coming from an animal, and then they said that it involves good cells, and that it regenerates the cells and then gives you a good immune system. And then of course the aloe vera, the mushroom. Oh, see, this one has mushroom also, shiitake mushroom with brown rice. That's why a lot of people are eating brown rice, right? Now, so along with this discussion here, I asked myself, why did I not encounter MGN-3? So I bought this 2014, and that was the only time that I learned about MGN-3, and then I forgot about it. Then there's pandemic now, then I read this, I thought, what about MGN-3? Why is it not in the news? And so I did research. In fact, it is not being used as a treatment for COVID-19. It is not. Only for cancer patients like HIV or AIDS, liver cancer in Vietnam, right? So from the foreword down to conclusion, MGN-3 was really highlighted. Now here's my question. Is it possible that the authors were funded or supported by a big pharmaceutical companies for them to be able to promote the product? I think it's possible, but again, let's go back to the credentials. I don't think they would just allow big companies to dictate them on what to write. I think there's that level of belief in the product that this really works, given the number of case studies that in fact this really helps. Now, I think, with the credentials, PhD and author in Psychology Today and Health Watch, I don't think they would merely allow companies to dictate them. I think they also know that MGN-3 has its efficacy in certain cases, but not the only factor in terms of healing. Maybe it acts as a complementary therapy, not the only medicine. So still, here, their solution is food supplement. There's no mention about drugs. They were pushing for a food supplement that can improve the immune system of the cancer patients. Now, if you are interested, I'm not being paid by MGN-3. What you do is you go online and search further. But I have here the links of the research that I read that you might want to find out about it, because those who passed away during this pandemic are those with cancer, right? So one way of improving their immune system is MGN-3. Now, why is it we don't hear about MGN-3? Maybe the product is a bit expensive. That's why they just select certain cases to treat. But I think this is really very expensive. That's also the reason why this is not in the news, right? So that's it. So that's the book review. So I hope you learned something from me in this special edition of book review. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The red button, please click the red button and subscribe, and then please also click the bell for notification for my future vlogs like this. You may want to share this vlog to those who are sickly, those who have poor immune system, and even those with cancer. So they might want to check this book through this blog, and then the links are down here for the research studies on MGN-3, rice bran, or BioBran with shiitake mushroom enzymes that in fact would increase the level of natural killer cells that would kill the virus for cancer patients, right? So thank you for tuning into this vlog. Thank you also for finishing from the start till the end, and thank you. So for my future vlogs, I will still be doing book reviews perhaps next week. So please watch out for my book reviews and other relevant vlogs. So thank you. Bye. See you later.